Welcome back and moving on to our model for today. As we mentioned, we are going to talk more about our children, leaders of the future. So how to help them and support them with all things that might help them so as to know how to choose, how to be happy in their lives, how to be leaders. Well, a lot of things actually that we need to work on to discover also their talents. Today we have the pleasure to have with us Mrs. Mirat Sukari, and she is a happiness coach. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
So first of all, if you can tell us, what are the qualifications that should be in a child in order to be trained to be a leader or an entrepreneur?
Or an entrepreneur. You start noticing that the child, when they play, they seem to lead the children. Or they have creative ideas. They come home and they say, Mom, I want to do this like this. Or Mom, even if it doesn't really work right now because he's 7, but he has ideas of how to change things, how to do things. They have an innate inside them. They have an innate way of doing things that is a bit different. If you have 2 or 3 children, like the teacher can notice it right away. If you see children playing in a playground, you can notice who wants to be a leader. And sometimes they also have charismatic character. The children are attracted to them, the way they speak.
Yeah.
So there's something the mother should start noticing.
So how can we work on this and take benefit out of this, not just to leave it and maybe later it might be something that is going to be harmful as well? Because definitely we need to direct and take benefit of the talent or just the feelings of being a leader in good aspects.
Yes. Once you notice that, you should try to develop it. There's many ways. Thank God now we have in Egypt a lot of programs to help children, to help them become more empowered, to know what to say, what to do. So you would send them to something like this. If you don't have the means to do this, at least encourage, start reading and see how you can guide them in that. Like put them in areas or in situations where they can lead. You can even ask the child to create a group where he's the leader and he's teaching something or sharing something, even in the home. There's many things you can do. You can have your child once a week, you lead us. What are we having, half an hour? Lead us in something. Maybe he likes to speak or share a piece of news or show us something he makes. Let him start speaking. First of all, to be a leader, you have to be a good speaker. So that's a talent you have to encourage. And encouragement. Encouragement is so important. And this is something I noticed that in the way we were brought up, all of us, there was a lot of criticism and a lot of judgment, thinking that that is the way you will develop and improve. And in fact, that doesn't work. It's the praise that works.
Yeah. Okay, so supposedly given a family had observed the talents or the acts that a child is a leader or has a special talent, so what do you advise them to do afterwards?
So as I just said, if they have the means, start looking for like small, there's programs that are called like Discover the Talent of the Child. I don't do this program, but others do. You send them to that, and then you start looking at leadership camps, leadership arenas, whatever you can find. And the parents now, they have a special child, if that's the case. They need to start reading and learning themselves how to support them. Like supporting a sport, you support that way. If you don't have the means, then you do it this way. You do it by reading, by learning, and by talking to the teacher, by talking to the person at the club. How can you put this child in this? Plus, of course, you have to support in the kinds of words you use. So you use words like, I can. If they come home and say, Mom, I can't do this, it's too hard. No, you can. And you give them examples. You Google, like, people that have climbed mountains, people who have done this, people who have done this. And I also am impressed that we have so many Egyptians who are excelling in all areas, let's say, in science, in this. You can bring these examples because they do inspire you. And scientifically, it opens a certain area of the brain that actually lights up and it says, oh, that's possible. So if we say, no, don't do this, it's impossible, it's too hard, who are you to do this? You're killing the children. You need to say it's possible.
Yeah, and I believe also comparing them to their colleagues or their friends when it comes to the academic performance or achievements or whatsoever, this also is, I believe, is dangerous.
Comparison has killed many talents and many children's egos and many children's self-worth. The problem with the self-worth, and you find people, adults who are like really excelled, like they were 90% students and now they're in very good positions, but there's something inside, they say, I don't think I'm good enough. I just had a person come to me and she says, I'm waiting to be found out. I'm just waiting, and she's excellent at her work. Like, I'm waiting to one day they will discover I'm not good enough. They don't know, I don't know. Because this girl, her whole story about self-worth and her has been really abused.
I was just going to ask you about this actually. Does a leader has to be genius in academic learning? I mean,
of course
because
not.
usually this is, you know, there is something when it comes to parents in particular, that they believe if he wants to be a leader, he has to be very clever and studying all the time and to excel as marks and grades as well.
What's needed from a leader is the leadership. The leader is leading, so he can get people and talents, and that's what companies now have. They have not the smartest man leading the company, but the man that has leadership, and they have the talent of knowing how to lead and how to get people to be loyal and to follow so that they can get them to do what they need to do. That's their talent. And you can build that. As I said, part of it is innate, you're born with it, and part of it is encouraging it. Telling the child, yes, that sounds amazing, you're able to do this. Do you notice that when you're with your friends, they sit and listen to you? Do you notice that you're able to organize so that we fast decide what to play? This is the leader as a child, 7-year-old. And as we grow older, it starts showing more. And at different ages, if you're a teenager, of course, there's lots of also programs to help teenagers understand their leadership and build it. And as I'm saying, you don't have to have the money to spend on it. There's so much free on the internet. You just Google and you will find in Arabic, you will find in English. So nothing should stop you. As a parent or as a child or as a person, you should find your way.
Yeah. So just in light of what you just said, is there here in Egypt like workshops or programs that enhance this kind of talent?
Yes, there's actually, she's a colleague and she works with me. She has a program that is unique. She has done this. She studied a lot about children, and she actually took something called, with the States, with the top person, children's self-esteem. It's part of the leadership. So this person, her mission is to help children find what they're good at and how to become leaders in their area. So she's not talking about just like if he's really good at math, and teach them how to really excel in that. And teach the parents it's okay because this is his area. He doesn't have to do so well in the science.
Don't pick on him if he didn't do well.
This child is amazing in this, and this is the way he learns too. So there's programs, and I'm sure there's other programs. This is the one I'm aware of. So there are now, I'm really happy, there are young people that have learned and trying to help the youth.
Yes.
Just also read something now talking about the idea of being good or being great. Definitely many people are good in certain things and they can do it perfect. But the point is how, as you mentioned, how to make others do what you want, how to follow you and gather you on the objective that we are all looking for. So how can we work on this?
As I just said, part of it is internal and part of it is learned. The learning is harder than the internal.
Let's talk about how to learn it or the skills that we need to work on, because if you are talented from inside, definitely it's going to be much easier. But if you want to teach the child something like this, how can you do it?
How can you teach the child? So what you would be doing is learning, you yourself, the parent, learning what are leadership skills. Leadership skills is speaking, number one, how to speak to impress, speak to be followed, being very clever in figuring out, not forcing anybody into a square or a box that they're not in. So I have 10 people or 10 boys or 10 employees, whatever, who can really do this? And again, not criticizing. So this employee is amazing at speaking in sales. Why am I forcing him to write the report? He's not good at writing reports, and it drives him crazy, it makes him nervous. So let's get him support. So you learn the skills for the child. He will start to learn the skills, speaking, noticing, to be very, it's emotional intelligence actually, noticing who can do what and using that talent from who can do what. You start teaching them that. Of course, being very, leaders are social. They know how to talk well. They say nice words to people. Leaders speak very well. Leaders are compassionate. Compassionate means they can feel people. They can understand what they're going through. To be a leader so that you will continue to have the loyalty, the following. And leaders also continue to learn, whatever area they need to learn, so that they always sort of impress. Yeah. So they have something.
Sorry to jump in here, but does being a leader has anything being an intellectual?
No, of course not. We've seen political leaders around the world that didn't have the intellectual. It's a lot of those other characteristics. You don't need to be super, in fact, super intellectual people sometimes are not, because they're too much in the reading and the studying and this, they don't have the social skills. It needs the social skills. Now a good leader will get the support of the intellectuals. They'll be the back office. They'll be the information. And they're good for that. And it's good to know which one is your child. Don't force anything onto someone. I mean, if your child is an introvert and really isn't going to be a leader, that's okay. Let
Maybe
them go
he
with,
can prove
why are
himself
you
in a
proving,
sport
yeah.
or something,
Not
or
everybody
become
has
an
to be a
athlete.
leader, for sure. Even if not, he can be just a regular person and that's good enough.
Yes.
That's good enough. Why does they have to be in a box of someone? And the world doesn't need everybody to be leaders.
So this is a message for the parents, not to, for, yes.
But please, please, everyone is a special. Everyone came from God. So everyone is special in what they have and what they talents. Let's not force them into boxes. And you now see how other countries are changing the way they're teaching children with no grades at the end of the year. It's just how much knowledge you get. You need to know a little bit of math, a little bit of science, a little bit of this. And it doesn't matter if you get it in first or fourth grade, because everyone is different.
I think it has to do with the educational system as well under our culture, because you can never, let's be realistic, you can never do this without the support of the whole system with you. Because again, we are evaluating the child according to his grades, not according to his skills or what he is doing actually, unfortunately. I think this is another important part. We have to learn, we as parents, as mothers, as society, that it has nothing to do with the grades, and just give him the space to work and prove himself. Yes, we need to pass the exam, but this is not everything.
Yes. Yes, and but in the past, until we get there, we still can do a lot at home. If whatever's going on, so if the child brings C's and you say that's fine, but I love the way you draw, I love the way you talk to your friends, I love the compassion in you. Like when your little friend is upset, you're able to talk to them. Then you're telling him this is something, this is just one aspect of life that people are what do you call it? They're categorized then, like the A student, B student, C student. And there's so many other areas. We all know very smart people that we don't want to be our friends, or they did not become successful, by the way. If you look at organizations, I was a banker, it's not the smartest people that were at the top of the bank. I was a 4.0, 100% through the college. I was one of those students. But did this mean I became the manager of the whole bank? Of course not. There was someone else that had a lot of other smartness, other intellects, and now we know there's different kinds of intellects that made it. They were able to do a lot of, he was a leader. He was a leader. He managed to do that, plus the skills. And as I said, with leadership, they're smart in a certain area where they always know how to get the support system.
Right, I think also the idea working in school and the cooperation between the school and home as well, because this is something that we really lack. Sometimes not all of the teachers will be cooperative or share with the parents, even in private schools, share and help them to get along actually with the child.
It's true, of course, and this is, by the way, in Egypt, but worldwide, the schools are not as supportive as we'd like them to be. But it is improving. I can see that now people have decided or have seen in the last 20 years, it's not only the grades that mean success, and also it's not about success, about happiness. Because all of us as parents, what do we want ultimately for our child? We want them to be happy, right? So we think by making good grades, getting a good job, making a lot of money, being successful in the world, they'll be happy. But now we know that path isn't clear like this. So if I can guarantee that my son will be happy just drawing and making not that much money, it doesn't matter, but he's happy, then I'm fine with that. He doesn't have to be the banker or the, I don't know what, or the what. I think the whole story is now people are re-evaluating, of course not the whole world, but I mean a lot of us are re-evaluating what is this all about. So now I'm not the person that will, if I have grandchildren, I will not push for the grades. I'll say C is fine. I was just joking with a friend yesterday and I said, I missed the class, I was taking a course. And she said, yeah, and I said, I never did that my whole life in school, even if I was very sick. And I said, I think that wasn't smart. Why not? I could have missed the class and had some fun maybe. It's not a big deal. I'm sorry to say this, but I made sure I was
But
always
just the
listening.
idea to guarantee that yes, you can do everything, but again, you have to be happy and to excel in what you are interested in.
Yes.
So at the end,
Find
Mrs.
that.
Mirat Sukari, happiness coach, thank you very much for.
Thank
you so much for your insight, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And dear viewers, by this we wrap up today's episode of The Breakfast Show. Just a quick recap. We talked about the visit of President Fattah al-Sisi to Russia, and also children, and how can they be talented leaders and entrepreneurs in the future. With our, we talked about this with our human development expert and the happiness coach. Dear viewers, you're in the company of Nashwa Rashid and Karim Gamaluddin. Until we meet again, this is goodbye.